of the street. It's so much easier than parking on the right and crossing the street carefully. Easier? Yes, John, but also far more dangerous both to you and passing traffic. Remembering he needs cigarettes, he nonchalantly double parks his car on a busy thoroughfare and steps out of the driver's side of his car. His parking double has led to a traffic tie-up, but this doesn't disturb John. He'll be there in a minute. What's your hurry, pal? He indicates. Be relaxed like I am. Things are just fine, reflects John Doe. It's a beautiful day to be alive. True, John, and we hope you stay alive to enjoy it. What's this we see? A boulevard stop sign. Yes, it is, but John Doe apparently doesn't see it. Here's a typical busy intersection marked with a traffic light for the protection of people like you and I and John Doe. But John suddenly decides he's in a hurry, so he ignores the yellow caution signal and continues on through a red light. Well, he made it safely this time anyway. Yes, it is a beautiful day, and John Doe decides it's time for a little liquid refreshment. True, he knows that gasoline and alcohol don't mix, but he's only going to have a few beers. There's no harm in that, he tells himself. No harm, John? Well, we have to question that. Statistics compiled by traffic authorities throughout the nation inform us that at least one of every 5 fatal accidents involve either a driver or a pedestrian who has been drinking. That sort of changes the situation, doesn't it? But here's John Doe again, and if you were to ask him, he would insist that he's in full possession of all his faculties. But is he? It seems to us that he's driving rather rapidly. The traffic division of the Providence Police Department is at a 25-mile-per-hour maximum within city limits, but we'd wager that John Doe is driving at least 45 miles an hour, and driving erratically, too, we might add. So occupied is he with his thoughts that he doesn't notice the alert motorcycle officer parked along the highway. Later, he will utter a thankful prayer, however, that the officer noticed his erratic driving. Quickly catching up to John Doe, the officer waves him to the curb. John's in a happy mood. Sure, he'll cooperate. The officer recognizes he's drinking, of course. His first duty is to check John Doe's license and registration. And as he does so, a cruising police car passes the scene, and taking in the situation at a glance, stops and calls headquarters to send out a patrol car. Relaying this message to headquarters takes only a matter of seconds, and the patrol wagon soon arrives on the scene to hurry our careless friend away. John Doe will be examined at the station to determine if he is capable of operating a motor vehicle safely upon our public highways. Fortunately, he has been apprehended before human blood has been spilled. But drunken driving is only one of the many violations of our motor vehicle laws, which a vigilant traffic division must constantly keep in check. Headquarters of the Traffic Division of the Providence Police Department is located at Police Headquarters at La Salle Square. Here, a staff of highly trained specialists are constant in their determination that Providence will always maintain its enviable reputation as one of the safest cities in the nation. Day and night, the entire force, including manpower and resources, of the Providence Police Department works unceasingly in its efforts to protect your lives and those of your loved ones on the highways of the city. The range of their activities is many in number and varied in nature. In this typical roll call scene, Captain Earl F. Adams, nationally known director of the Traffic Division, is pointing out to the members of his division that preventive police work is as important and as modern as preventive health measures. As members of the Traffic Division, he emphasizes, you men constantly must be alert for infractions of the law. In being courteous and forthright in enforcement of the laws in our statute books, he stresses, you must always remember that the primary purpose of the police is to preserve order and to bring to the public consciousness the eternal need for observance of the laws drafted for their protection. One of the most congested areas in the East is the intersection of Dorrance and Westminster Street, always the scene of an endless flow of pedestrian and vehicular traffic. The task of a traffic officer, particularly at such an intersection, involves far more than the mere regulation of passing traffic. In addition to keeping this traffic flowing in orderly fashion, he must help the aged and infirm to cross the street, give helpful directions to out-of-town motorists, and at the same time keep a wary eye on pedestrians who always seem anxious to plunge themselves into the whirlpool of traffic. Yes, Providence is a picturesque city, but its very historical background is a handicap to smooth-flowing traffic. If it were not for the ever-vigilant Traffic Division, the many narrow streets in downtown Providence would soon become impassable bottlenecks. Even in the wider areas, such as the junction of Fountain and Eddy Streets, the problem of regulating traffic in orderly fashion is a tremendous task. 4 separate streets converge at this point, for example, and motor vehicle traffic comes and goes in any of 6 different directions. In the late afternoon, thousands of workers pour forth from the nearby factories, and the officer on duty must be particularly alert if traffic tie-ups are to be prevented. The duties of the traffic officer on foot are varied also. In addition to being responsible for conditions on his beat, he must always be watchful for the oftentimes flagrant violations of the law. Here, for example, we note an automobile which has been deliberately parked in front of a no parking sign by its owner. The operator of this car rightfully deserves the blue ticket he will receive. Double parking, overtime parking, and parking on crosswalks designed for the safety of pedestrians are among the other types of illegal parking which must be controlled. Supplementing the officer on foot are the men who tour the downtown areas in 3-wheel motorbikes, concentrating particularly on the overtime parker. Traffic safety and accident prevention are always being stressed to the public by the Providence Police Department. Members of the Traffic Division speak before public gatherings of all kinds, emphasizing the vital need for citizen cooperation. Children in particular are taught the value of observing common sense traffic regulations. At school and in the public playgrounds, members of the division carry this vital message. Children should be seen but not hurt. Boys and girls, this officer is saying, look both ways before crossing streets. Cross only at intersections and with the light, or during the lull in traffic. For these children of today are the citizens of tomorrow. And from cities and organizations all over the world come inquiries asking how Providence has managed to rank for so many years as one of the safest cities in the nation. Captain Earl F. Adams, director of the division, is the man to whom they direct their inquiries. Captain Adams points to one of the many awards the city has received for its accident prevention achievements and says,
public officials and private citizens alike must recognize their responsibility for a concerted and intensified campaign to combat traffic accidents and fatalities. We cannot for a moment relax our efforts in this endless battle to prevent the loss of life and property. The success of our department will be continued and maintained only if Mr. and Mrs. Average Citizen join wholeheartedly with us in our efforts to protect them. Tragedy is always ready to strike when the barriers of sensible caution are let down, if only for a fleeting moment. These are gruesome pictures, yes, but they are official police photographs of fatalities that occurred in this very city in recent years. The next scene we're about to witness might well have taken place if the intoxicated John Doe had not been apprehended by the alert motorcycle officer.
Yes, death stalks the highways constantly, hungrily awaiting another victim. This scene easily could have taken place if John Doe had been permitted to operate a motor vehicle in a drunken condition. To the officers of the Traffic Division who have dedicated themselves to the protection of your lives, the word of another traffic fatality always strikes a chill in their heart. Providence is a city slightly in excess of 250,000 in population. But because of its strategic location and its tremendous concentration of industry, more than 500,000 persons travel its highways during the course of a day. Tens of thousands of these persons are operators of motor vehicles. Yet despite this tremendous passenger traffic, less than 20 lives were lost last year as a result of traffic fatalities. The Traffic Division of the Providence Police Department is deeply proud of its record in protecting your lives. It is constantly striving to better that record. And when the tragic message, fatal accident, is flashed to its headquarters, every heart is saddened. For these men know that in at least 2 of every 3 fatalities, human carelessness and the committing of obviously unsafe acts are responsible. When a fatality is reported, every resource of the Traffic Division is thrown into play. Eyewitness accounts are carefully recorded, pertinent measurements are accurately noted, and a complete report is prepared. For the past several years, Providence has been recognized throughout the nation as being in the vanguard of those cities constantly devising, testing, and improving modern methods of saving human lives. For the entire personnel of the police department is only too keenly aware of the suffering that results from the loss of life. Damaged motor vehicles, yes. Damaged bodies, yes. The loss of a valuable life, yes. But the loss of a single life involves not just a single person. Too often it means, as it does in this case, a wife and family left behind. And it is often the sorrowful task of the police department to notify the wife of the accident victim that her husband has been killed. Yes, if we could but stop and realize the consequences of our careless actions, we would drive and walk on our public highways with far more caution than we display now. For highway tragedies respect no one. They enter the home of the rich and the poor, and count as their victims the young and the old. They can strike at us, too, unless we are always careful to observe the laws drafted for our protection. Spearheaded by our Providence Police Department, the fight to save human lives goes on unceasingly day and night. Are you doing your part to help keep Providence